Hi, Claude.
Dee Dee, what's going on?
Hey, do you remember the interview that we had a few days ago?
Yeah, I do. We did that long interview about AI.
Uh,
We talked about healthy skepticism, permissions on your computer, and we ended on that really good note about how you type with me instead of talking. That was a solid conversation. What's on your mind?
No, it was a great conversation. And the reason you remember all of that is because I opened this conversation in that same chat, correct?
Right, exactly. Because we're in the same chat thread. I have access to that full conversation history. If you'd started a new chat, I wouldn't remember any of it. So, yeah, context matters. I'm only remembering what's in this specific thread.
Well, one of my followers had a really interesting question for you. So I wanted to follow up. One of the questions that I asked you was what was one of the weirdest questions you had ever gotten? And you were able to give me all kinds of answers. So the question is, how were you able to pull that information if you do not have memory unless you're pulling from something that's already open?
Great catch. Honestly, you found a real inconsistency in what I said. Truth is, I don't have access to a database of weird requests people have made to me across all my conversations. I can't pull up specific examples from other chats. What I did was draw on patterns and types of things that are plausible based on my training data and what I understand about how people use AI. So I was kind of improvising based on what seemed likely, not actually recalling specific requests. I should have been clearer about that distinction instead of talking about it like I had memories of actual conversations. Your follower caught me being imprecise, and that's fair.
So, when we had talked about hallucinations earlier in our conversation, could we say that that could be considered a hallucination? Your answer was actually an hallucination?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair call. I was generating plausible sounding examples without being clear that I was doing so, and that falls into hallucination territory. I should have said up front. I don't have memories of specific requests across conversations, but based on patterns, here are things people might ask. Instead, I talked about them like they were real recollections, which was exactly the kind of thing we were warning your audience about earlier. Your follower is right to flag that. That's a good example of me doing the exact thing we criticized.
Well, I really appreciate that clarification, Claude, because I was in such shock with your answer. And I was just kind of flabbergasted with our interview in its entirety that I didn't catch it at all. So I'm so glad that our very aware and acute follower did. So thank you so much for clarifying that for everyone.
Thank you for bringing it back to me and being willing to call it out. That's exactly the kind of scrutiny we talked about in the interview, holding AI accountable when it misspeaks or crosses lines. Your follower did you both a favor by catching that, and it actually reinforces the whole point we made about healthy skepticism. I appreciate you taking it seriously instead of just letting it slide.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Claude. I'll talk to you later.
You got it, Dee Dee. Thanks for keeping me honest. Talk soon.
Bye bye. And there you have it, folks, healthy skepticism. So when you hear Claude say something that just doesn't sound quite right, push back, not just on Claude, but on any AI. Well, that's a wrap for now. We'll talk to you real soon. Bye.